So you want to know about warp drive, the real kind. Not just the stuff you see on TV, but the idea that a serious physicist put on paper. The Alcubierre drive. Is it actually possible? Can we ever build a ship that zips between stars like in the movies? The short answer is maybe, but probably not. The long answer is a lot more interesting. It takes us through the weirdest parts of modern physics, from the nature of space-time to stuff that weighs less than nothing. It's a story about the ultimate speed limit, a clever loophole, and a whole bunch of problems that might be impossible to solve. But let's start with the speed limit, the big one, the speed of light. Albert Einstein figured this out more than 100 years ago. His theory of special relativity says that nothing with mass can ever reach the speed of light. Not just that we don't have the technology, it's a fundamental rule of the universe. The reason is pretty simple, in a brain-bending kind of way. As you go faster, your mass increases. Not by much at first, but it starts to climb dramatically as you get closer to light speed. If you were to actually hit the speed of light, your mass would become infinite. And to move an infinite mass, you'd need an infinite amount of energy. The universe doesn't have an infinite amount of energy to spare on your spaceship. So, that's it. Case closed. You can't go faster than light. For decades, that was the end of the story. Science fiction writers could dream, but physicists knew it was a dead end. You can't break the law. But then Einstein came up with another theory, his masterpiece, general relativity. This theory wasn't just about speed, it was about gravity, and it changed everything. Einstein realized that space and time are not separate things. They are woven together into a single fabric spacetime. And this fabric isn't just a static background for things to happen on. It can bend. It can stretch. It can ripple. What we feel as gravity is just the curvature of spacetime. A huge object like the sun creates a big dent in the fabric, and the Earth is just rolling along the edge of that dent. This is where the loophole comes in. The rule from special relativity says you can't move through space faster than light. But general relativity says that space itself can do whatever it wants. Spacetime can stretch and contract. In fact, it does. The whole universe is expanding. Galaxies far away from us are moving away from us faster than the speed of light. But they aren't firing up their engines and breaking the cosmic speed limit. The space between us and them is expanding. They are just along for the ride. This is the key insight. If you can't go faster than light through space, maybe you can make space itself move you. In 1994, a Mexican physicist named Miguel Alcubierre was watching Star Trek. He got to thinking, could you make the whole warp drive thing work with real physics? He sat down and played with the equations of general relativity. And he found a solution. It was a mathematical description of a way to travel faster than light without ever breaking the local speed limit. This became the Alcubierre drive. Here's the basic idea. Imagine space-time as a big sheet of rubber. You're standing on it, and you want to get to a spot far away. You can't run faster than a certain speed. So, what do? Instead of running, you get the sheet of rubber in front of you to scrunch up, and the sheet of rubber behind you to stretch out. The piece of rubber you're standing on doesn't move, but the destination comes to you, and your starting point moves away. You've traveled a huge distance without taking a single step. The Alcubierre drive works the same way. It creates a warp bubble of space-time around the spaceship. In front of the bubble, space-time is contracted. It's squeezed together. Behind the bubble, space-time is expanded. It's stretched out. The spaceship inside the bubble is in a little pocket of flat, normal space-time. It's like a surfer on a wave. The surfer isn't moving through the water faster than the wave. The wave is carrying the surfer. With the Alcubierre drive, the spaceship isn't moving through space at all. The bubble of space itself is moving, carrying the ship with it. From the perspective of someone inside the ship, nothing weird is happening. There's no acceleration, no crushing g-forces. You wouldn't even feel like you're moving. You could be sipping a cup of coffee while the galaxy zips by outside. Because you're not accelerating, your mass doesn't increase. You're not breaking the local speed of light. So you neatly sidestep Einstein's big rule. You could cross the galaxy in a few weeks. It's brilliant, and the math checks out. It is a valid solution to Einstein's field equations. So why don't we have one? If the math works, what's the problem? Well, this is where the dream crashes into reality. The Alcubierre drive comes with a few tiny little catches. And by tiny, I mean colossal, show-stopping, maybe impossible to ever solve catches. The first and biggest problem is the fuel. To make space-time bend in this very specific way, to contract it in front and expand it behind, you need something special. You need matter with a negative energy density. Sometimes people call this exotic matter. This isn't just a clever name. It's stuff that would have very, very strange properties. Normal matter, the stuff that makes up you, me, and the planets, has positive energy and positive mass. It creates gravity, it pulls things together. Negative energy matter would do the opposite. It would have anti-gravity, it would push space-time apart, it would fall up instead of down. It would weigh less than nothing. Have we ever seen this stuff? No, not really. We have some hints that it might exist in the quantum world. There's something called the Casimir effect, where two parallel plates in a vacuum are pushed together by quantum fluctuation. The space between the plates has a slightly lower energy density than the space outside. It's a tiny, tiny amount of negative energy, but it's there, so it's not completely forbidden by physics. But the amount of negative energy needed for an Alcubierre drive is staggering. Alcubierre's original calculations showed that for a small spaceship, you'd need an amount of negative energy equivalent to the mass of the entire observable universe. That's not practical. You can't build a machine that requires all the matter in the universe as fuel. Over the years, other physicists have refined the calculations. They've played with the shape of the warp bubble. A thicker wall, a different geometry. They managed to get the energy requirement down. A lot. One physicist, Harold Sunny, white, who worked at NASA, proposed a design that looked more like a donut than a sphere. His calculations brought the required amount of negative energy down from the mass of the universe to the mass of Jupiter. Then, with more tweaks, down to the mass of a car. This sounds like great progress. But it's still a huge problem. We're talking about taking the entire mass of a car and turning it into something that we don't know exists, that we have no idea how to create, and that we have no idea how to store or control. The Casimir effect produces an amount of negative energy so small it can barely be measured. Scaling that up to the mass of a car is like seeing a single grain of sand and deciding you can build a new continent. We just don't have the physics to get from here to there. It might require a whole new understanding of quantum gravity, a theory we don't have yet. So, the fuel is problem number one, and it's a big one, but let's pretend for a minute that we solve it. Let's say we find a magic source of negative energy. We're still not out of the woods. Not by a long shot. Problem number two is control. How do you steer this thing? How do you turn it on and off? The way the warp bubble is structured creates what's called a horizon. The inside of the bubble is causally disconnected from the outside. That's a fancy way of saying that nothing, not even light, can cross from the inside of the bubble to the front edge. The pilot inside the spaceship cannot send a signal to the front of the bubble. Think about that. You're the captain. You can't see what's in front of you. You can't send a message to the front of your own ship to tell it to stop or turn. You're on a ride that you have absolutely no control over once it starts. You'd have to have the entire path perfectly planned out and the negative energy prearranged along the route. But if you can do that, why do you need the warp drive in the first place? You've already been there. Furthermore, to create the bubble, you would need to be able to move in places negative energy faster than light. You need to start contracting the space in front of your ship. To do that, you have to get the negative energy there first. It's a chicken and egg problem. You need a warp drive to build a warp drive. These are fundamental problems rooted in the way causality works. They aren't just engineering challenges that we can solve with better computers. They might be basic roadblocks that the universe puts up to say, nope, not allowed. But let's keep dreaming. Let's say we solve the energy problem and the control problem. We've got our negative energy and we've figured out how to steer. We fire up the drive and head for Proxima Centauri, the nearest star. We get there in a few weeks, we slow down, turn off the drive, and get ready to say hello to any potential aliens. This leads us to problem number 3, the we just vaporized the planet problem. The front of the warp bubble is a region of intensely curved space-time. As the ship travels, this front edge acts like a cosmic snowplow. It scoops up any particles it encounters in interstellar space hydrogen atoms, dust, radiation. These particles don't just stick to the front of the ship. They get trapped in the bubble's space-time distortion and are accelerated to incredible energies. The longer the journey and the faster you go, the more stuff you collect and the more energy it builds up. Then you arrive at your destination and turn the drive off. The warp bubble dissolves. All of that accumulated matter and energy that was stuck to the front of the bubble gets released in a single, massive, focused blast. It would be like a particle accelerator beam of unimaginable power. Any planet, any star system, anything at all waiting for you at your destination would be annihilated in a flash of gamma rays and high-energy particles. You would be the most destructive weapon ever conceived. You would arrive, and your arrival would be an extinction-level event. There are also problems for the people inside the ship. The same process could create intense Hawking radiation similar to what's predicted to come from black holes. This radiation could cook the crew. So even if you don't care about the destination, the trip itself might be lethal. So, let's recap. We have a drive that requires a fuel that probably doesn't exist. Even if it did, we couldn't control the ship. And if we could control it, the act of using it would destroy our destination. It's not looking good, and there's one more problem. It might be the deepest one of all. The problem of time. According to Einstein's theories, traveling faster than light is equivalent to traveling backward in time. It depends on your frame of reference. For someone on the ship, time moves forward normally. But for an observer on Earth, watching the ship travel to a star 100 light years away in just 1 year, things get weird. From their perspective, information from the ship could arrive back at Earth before it even left. This opens the door to all sorts of paradoxes. The classic one is the grandfather paradox. You could travel back in time and prevent your own grandfather from meeting your grandmother. But if you do that, you would never be born. So you couldn't have gone back in time to do it. It's a logical contradiction. Many physicists believe the universe has a built-in chronology protection conjecture. The idea is that the laws of physics themselves will conspire to prevent time travel and its associated paradoxes. The very things that make the Alcubierre drive seem impossible. The need for negative energy, the horizon problem, might be the universe's way of protecting the timeline. It's as if nature says, yes, this is a fun mathematical trick, but I'm not actually going to let you do it. So, after all that, where does that leave us? Is it a complete dead end? Maybe not entirely. The research hasn't stopped. The Alcubierre drive, even with all its flaws, was important. It showed that we could at least talk about faster than light travel within the known laws of physics. It gave scientists a framework to play with, and people are still playing. Some researchers are looking for ways to build a warp drive that doesn't require negative energy. A physicist named Eric Lentz recently published a paper describing a new type of warp bubble solution that uses only positive energy. The catch: the energy requirements are even more astronomical than the revised Alcubierre models. You need to convert the entire mass of a star into pure energy and contain it in a very specific way. So, we're still far from building anything, but it's a theoretical step forward. It shows there might be more than one way to think about the problem. Other scientists are investigating the fundamental nature of space-time and quantum mechanics. They're working on a theory of quantum gravity, which would unite Einstein's general relativity with the weird rules of the quantum world. This is the holy grail of modern physics. If we ever get that theory, it might tell us for sure whether things like negative energy are possible, or if there are other, even stranger ways to manipulate space-time that we haven't even dreamed of yet. There are even small, privately funded research groups and government-backed projects like the work done at NASA's EagleWorks laboratories that continue to explore these advanced propulsion concepts. They aren't building warp cores in a lab, they're doing fundamental physics experiments. They're trying to see if they can create tight, measurable distortions in space-time. The work is highly theoretical and very, very long-term. No one expects a breakthrough tomorrow. So back to the original question, is a real-life warp drive possible? Based on our current understanding of physics, the answer is a firm no. The obstacles are not just technological, they seem to be woven into the fabric of the universe. The need for negative energy, the control problems, the destructive consequences, the time paradoxes, these are not small hurdles. They are mountains that we have no idea how to climb. But science is a funny thing. 150 years ago, a leading scientist could have given you 100 good reasons why we would never fly in a machine heavier than air. They would have been perfectly logical reasons based on the physics of the day. And they would have been wrong. We didn't break the laws of physics to fly, we just understood them better. We learned about lift and aerodynamics. Could the same be true for warp drive? Could there be some new principle of physics, some new understanding of gravity or quantum energy that we're completely missing? Yes, it's possible. It would likely require a revolution in physics as profound as the one started by Newton or Einstein. So, for now, the Alcubierre drive remains a beautiful piece of mathematics. It's a fascinating what if. It's a story that pushes the boundaries of our imagination and our understanding of the cosmos. It forces us to ask deep questions about the nature of reality, and even if we never build one, the act of trying, of exploring these far-out ideas is valuable. It's what science is all about. Don't expect to book a ticket to another star system anytime soon. The stars will likely remain distant lights in our sky for a very long time, but the dream of reaching them is a powerful one. And as long as we have dreams like that, we'll keep pushing, keep calculating, and keep wondering if there's a loophole we just haven't found yet.